Lily Cole, thank you for being here at the United Nations Foundation today. It's an honor to have someone who's helping us to anchor an important conversation, doing something around the world that is as unique and as fresh and as young and as forward-thinking as you. We're grateful to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
And today we're here at the United Nations Foundation, joined by people who care about global engagement and global issues, which for the UN Foundation is right in the middle of our mission, where we love to connect people and ideas and resources to help the UN solve global problems. And your work around impossible is getting to an important area that not a lot of people have talked about. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about Impossible, this remarkable new platform, and what brought you to found something this extraordinary. Tell us about Impossible and tell us about the name, because Impossible conjures up an interesting challenge to us. What's Impossible, Lily, and what should we know?
Several questions there. So I'll talk about the name separately because that's a whole other conversation, but the premise of Impossible is to try and encourage a culture of giving through a social network. And it was an idea that I had with a friend 3 years ago. We were on a plane and we were talking about the economy, and we were talking, like, it was post-recession. We were talking about why is it that when the economy falters that society consequently immediately falters. Because if you think about it, there is still the same amount of skills, resources to move around. We've just lost the means to move them. And arguably with most resources and all skills and services, there's an abundance. And yet we've kind of become trapped almost sometimes in a scarcity model. And that spawned the idea of, well, what if there was a website or a technical platform that pointed out those possibilities? And I also happened to discover the gift economy as a concept. A friend of mine that I was doing a play with at the time was an anthropologist in Cambridge. And I'd mentioned the idea to her, and she was like, oh yeah, well that's the gift economy. You should read Marcel Mauss's book. He's kind of probably the most famous anthropologist who's written about it. And I was like, what? There's a word for that? The gift economy? What is that? And I started reading all these books, and the sociology and the psychology and the science around gift economies and how they, giving creates chemicals that make you happier. It triggers cycles of reciprocity, so it's understood to work, and plenty of examples of pre-capitalist societies that existed solely as gift economies, and many ways that gift economy is a part of our own society nowadays. And the fundamental part of the science that inspired me was that giving creates subtle relationships between the individuals. And so if you imagine that at scale, it's social cohesion and it's community. And I think that's the real essence of what Impossible is striving for.